there's not enough roads.
It's actually developing really well.
Does offer good air quality.
The Sydney Squeeze will discuss the key issues of space, cost, environment and lifestyle, as well as look at how we'll live and work here in the future. So share your stories at yourstorysydney@abc.net.au. And keep listening all this week as we bring you the Sydney Squeeze.
Well, if you're just waking, I guess you heard the terrible news overnight from London. 4 people killed in a terrorist attack outside British Parliament in Westminster, which remains in lockdown. At least 20 more people were treated for injuries at the scene, some of which were critical. The chaotic attack began when a car driving over the bridge ploughed into pedestrians, including several police officers. Foreign Minister Julie Bishop has said that no Australians were involved in the attack. And here is what the Prime Minister, Malcolm Turnbull, has said about it just a little earlier.
Australia's heartfelt sympathy and resolute solidarity is with the people of the United Kingdom, with whom we stand today, as we always have, in freedom's cause. Staunch allies in the war against terrorism. The attack on the British Parliament is an attack on parliaments, freedom and democracy everywhere. Westminster is rightly known as the mother of parliaments, but Australians should be reassured that our agencies are today, as every day, working relentlessly to keep Australians safe. We are very alert to the vulnerabilities of places of mass gathering and the risk of lone attackers, like the perpetrator, the terrorist in London. Now, keeping Australians safe is our highest priority. It is the first duty of my government and indeed every government.
Well, keeping Australians safe in New South Wales, that job falls to David Elliott. He is the New South Wales Counter-Terrorism Minister in the brand new portfolio which was created by Gladys Berejiklian. And so he joins us on the program now. Thank you for making time for us, Minister.
Good morning, Wendy.
What does this mean for Sydney and New South Wales? Can you tell us about the level of preparedness that you have been coordinating?
Well, I think it's important to first start our comments on offering condolences to the victims of this really cowardly attack that has occurred this morning. When you consider that the victims were French schoolgirls, you wonder what sort of mentality is going through the type of person's mind who wants to do this sort of thing. And I have to also start with paying credit to Tobias Elwood, who was the Member of Parliament, who I think will now be featured as showing some real heroics by putting his own safety aside, and that's just a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful tribute to the bravery and the courage of the people of London, who over centuries have always seemed to be for taking the brunt of the attacks from those who want to do us harm. But here in New South Wales, I've already received a number of briefings. There is no specific threat in New South Wales, and as the Foreign Minister has said, there were no Australians involved in the incident in London this morning. But it doesn't mean, as the Prime Minister has said, that we should not remain alert. Here in New South Wales, we've got a number of programs that will see us consistently upgrade security to a whole range of assets that we call vital assets, and the process to protect them is called vital asset protection. It's a process that will see governments and agencies work consistently to ensure that any and all contingencies that may be seen as threatening are considered.
Which assets are those? Can you tell us?
Well, they're the ones that you look out the window and see, of course, like bridges and major buildings and areas of mass gathering.
So we're talking about Macquarie Street and the Opera House, the Sydney Harbour Bridge, etc.
Well, that's right.
War Memorial.
Yes, of course. Anything that is identified as being symbolic is obviously workshopped by agencies. But what we also have done, which the Police Minister Troy Grant announced, was providing active armed offender training to first responders. So as you saw overnight in London, as you've seen in previous incidents, it's often just the first responders that are the most threatened, and we've seen that with special constables in New South Wales, and we've seen it in London overnight with general duties police. So it is important that governments make sure that they have the best training and capabilities possible, because they're often the ones first on the scene of an incident.
Now, does that mean that any more personnel have been put on alert, on call, or are people being called into work today who otherwise wouldn't have been?
We don't generally discuss in the public domain security for obvious reasons. It's not the sort of thing that we want those that wish to do harm to our community getting access to. But I can assure the people of New South Wales that when it comes to our vital assets, those buildings and places that seem to draw crowds, particularly tourists and people, decision makers, and of course workers, and anybody that may be seen as potential threat to have potential threats against them. We will always be reviewing and constantly reviewing security, and the incidents that have occurred in London overnight do give us a reason to review whether or not we have enough people working in security and enough of the processes and procedures that we have in places like Parliament House and any other area that may attract gatherings.
Okay, so to just be clear though, are we on a heightened state of alert at the moment?
Well, at the moment, no. We didn't increase our state of alert because of what happened in London, because as the Foreign Minister has said, there were no Australians involved, and there is no specific threat here in New South Wales. So, but what we do use this as an opportunity is to remind people that they have to stay alert. And it is a timely reminder, because if these matters, as the Prime Minister has alluded to this morning, if these things can occur on a street in London, they can occur anywhere. And Australia isn't immune to this sort of activity. When you consider that since in 2014 there was an 80% increase in terrorist-related deaths, and now you consider that there is now the majority of countries have seen terrorist activity. We have to remain alert, and the Prime Minister is quite right to stand up today and tell people that even though there is no specific threat to Australia and there was no Australian involvement in London, it is a timely reminder, because as the Prime Minister has said, the Westminster is the mother of all parliaments, and that is seen as a sacred site.
Okay. You are the First Minister in this brand new ministry. Can you tell me what your job is and what the portfolio is designed to do?
Well, it's a coordination and education job, Wendy. I mean, what we found in the counter-terrorism space, and what indeed Kevin Rudd found in 2007 when he first split counter-terrorism away from those that were given obligations for our operations, is that there needs to be cross-jurisdiction and cross-portfolio coordination, and that is exactly what my role is there to do. It's to ensure that all government agencies are talking when it comes to matters relating to counter-terrorism, and it's important that all jurisdictions have a single minister to go to, and it's something that the Commonwealth has done. As I said, Kevin Rudd introduced it when he appointed Bob Debus as the Minister for Homeland Security, and it's just an unfortunate reality. I mean, this is certainly not a job that anybody goes into politics to seek, but in the current environment we live in, and I suppose London overnight is just another reminder of that. We do need people in government making sure that all the coordination, all the education is done at cabinet level. And
as you've stepped into this new portfolio and brought together, I think that you said at the beginning it would be coordinating all the stakeholders. What have you seen, and what do you think of our level of preparedness here?
Well, I'm really impressed. This isn't a new space for me. As a former Army officer and a former police spokesman, it's something that I've been in and out of involvement in for quite some time. But in recent years, I haven't been exposed to it as much, and I must say that I'm very, very impressed with the coordination and capabilities that we have in New South Wales. Yesterday, the Commissioner of Corrections launched 2 more vehicles that were called Supermax on wheels, so that we can transfer as those Supermax prisoners safely and securely between courts and prisons. The police have just done a fantastic job, and when you consider how many arrests have been made, how many preventative measures the police have done to thwart a potential terrorist activity in New South Wales alone, and how many of them are before the courts at the moment, and the fact that there are 30 people in Supermax in Goulburn at the moment, I can't be prouder and more confident that we're doing everything that can be done. But as you've seen in London overnight, and as we've seen here in our great city, there are just some things that the government can't prepare themselves for. And that's why we say to the community, be alert. Ensure that if you see anything that may be suspicious, you do ring the National Security Hotline. If you think that there's something that isn't right, you do take note of it. Complacency is probably the greatest threat that we have to our own security in this state.
And as we see ISIS on the run in the Middle East, and it's said that some of those jihadi soldiers will be coming back to Australia, do you know who they are? And can you guarantee that we won't find them on the streets sometime soon?
Well, unfortunately, in this space, there are no
guarantees. Sure.
I have been exposed to enough of our federal agencies in the last few weeks that I've been in this job to know that they have got information that is credible. It's information that I think the Prime Minister has spoken about overnight. They've identified that, yes, it is quite possible that a small number of those freedom fighters, alleged freedom fighters, will return, but they will be exposed to criminal charges and federal charges, because what they've done in the eyes of the Australian government, and the Australian government and certainly Malcolm Turnbull has been very, very clear on this, so they have broken the law and they will have no place in Australian society. And so if they do come back, if they do find their way back to Australia, they can be identified and there will be briefs put together against them.
Okay, so we do know who they are.
Well, we certainly have identified the number of people that are seen in the Middle East as foreign fighters.
Okay, and just finally, Minister, can you reiterate for us how we can be of service today, or going into the future at least, in preventing terror attack? What should we be doing?
Wendy, I mean, as I said at the opening remarks, there is no specific threat against Australia at the moment, so our alert levels haven't changed because of the incidents in London overnight, but it doesn't mean that we shouldn't be mourning for the victims of the attacks overnight. It certainly doesn't mean that we should be any more complacent because what's happened has happened a half a world away. I think probably the most important thing that people can do to prepare themselves for these things is to know the National Security Hotline and don't be complacent. Those two probably are the easiest ways for people to make themselves of use to our agencies.
Good-o. Thank you very much for joining us today, Minister.
Thank you, Wendy.
I appreciate that. David Elliott there, the New South Wales Terrorism Minister, rather. And that's our daily debate today. I wondered, do you